Step into a world where dreams take flight and imagination soars. Welcome to Wonderland, a musical journey unlike any other. Wonderland is a musical with book by Jack Murphy and Gregory Boyd, lyrics by Murphy and music by Frank Wildhorn. The story is set in New York City and focuses on writer Alice Cornwinkle and her 10-year-old daughter, Chloe. Now, it's important to note that Wonderland was the first production mounted by the Broadway Genesis Project, whose goal was to help create new theater works specifically for the Tampa Bay market, after which they may be staged in other performing arts centers or moved to Broadway. Now, Wildhorn began working on the project in the late 1990s. He initially conceived an Alice similar to the one in a 1951 Disney animated feature and envisioned his then-fiancée Brandy Burkhart in the title role. But as time passed, the two ended their engagement, and the role seemed to be passed to another Wildhorn leading lady, Lauren Kennedy. Now, once April of 2009 rolled around, it was time to descend the rabbit hole, when auditions were held in Manhattan and at what was then the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center. The casting for the musical, which was completed by August, starred Drama Desk award-winning actress Janet DeCall, actress, singer, and award-winning cabaret performer Karen Mason, Nikki Snelson, musical theater actor and singer Edward Staudenmaier, and actor and singer Darren Ritchie. Wonderland would finally open its doors to Tampa audiences in November of 2009 at Ferguson Hall inside the David A. Straz Jr. Center for the Performing Arts, running until January of 2010. The musical then transferred to the Alley Theater in Houston in late January of 2010, and the musical was budgeted at $3.3 million. And according to a report by Straz Center, the estimated local economic impact was more than $8.1 million, and noted that nearly 750 full and part-time jobs were created. John Fleming of the St. Petersburg Times expressed mixed feelings about the production. He called it a visual feast with dazzling costumes, marvelously funky dance, and flashy high-tech production design. Thought it is loaded with talent on stage, and said the score boasts one insanely catching pop song after another. But Wonderland also has a problem. It makes almost no sense. The book needs a major rewrite and not just a tweak here and there. What Wildhorn and his colleagues or somebody else can do to bring at least a measure of dramatic logic to the musical will ultimately decide its fate. He felt the scene in which Alice meets author Lewis Carroll appears to be an attempt to give the show emotional depth, but it is totally out of place, like dropping a scene from one of Wildhorn's gothic pop operas into Legally Blonde. And the character of the Mad Hatter was a casualty of the misconceived book because the story is so preposterous. He noted El Gato and the Jazzy Caterpillar have great solos to introduce Alice to Wonderland, but then have little to do with the rest of the show. Once the musical transferred to the Alley Theater in Houston, the script was completely rewritten. At the time of the Houston opening, Gregory Boyd said, "The book we have now is quite different from the book that opened in Tampa, and we're putting in more changes, including 4 new songs." While the Houston Chronicle stated, "This show boasts the appeal of Boyd's splashy staging, a talented cast led by vivacious star-in-the-making Janet DeCall, and some striking design elements, including spectacular use of projections. Wildhorn delivers his trademark conventional pop sound, boosted by some lively rhythms and catchy hooks here and there. DeCall is a find as Alice. Her singing is strong and sure. She moves well and projects spunky presence. The show's visuals are its strong suit. Neil Patel's sets are ingenious, if someone's slapdash in stylistic consistency. As a work in progress, Wonderland no doubt will continue improving. Even as it stands, for all the shortcomings, it's likely to please many who'll be happy enough with its bursts of flash, volume, and grab bag of references to those beloved Alice books. Before taking the show to Broadway, however, it was decided to return the production with its newly revised script to Ferguson Hall in Tampa for a limited week-and-a-half engagement. The cast pretty much stayed the same, except for the roles of the Caterpillar, Chloe, and the Mad Hatter being recast, this time with stage and television actor as well as 2-time Tony-nominated producer and investor E. Clayton Cornelius, Actress, singer, and runner-up on the second season of the United States X Factor competition, Carly Rose Sonnenklar, and actress, singer, and AIDS activist Kate Schindel. This production had conquered the rabbit hole and was ready to welcome Broadway audiences to Wonderland. The production opened in April of 2011 at the Marquis Theater, running for 33 performances and starring most of the original cast from the Houston production, as well as welcoming Filipino-American singer and actor Jose Lana in the role of El Gato, based on the Cheshire Cat. Well, despite the musical receiving negative reviews, the New York Times reviewer Charles Isherwood wrote that the musical is peppily inspirational, and the book displays flashes of fresh humor with a convoluted storyline. In February 2011, it was reported that the musical was $10 million short of its $14 million capitalization. The New York Post reported that several producers wanted to bring in additional help. The Nederlanders also engaged Scott Ellis to restage the musical and British composer Rupert Holmes to help shape the book. However, after negative reviews, the production would eventually close in May of 2011. It seemed the producers may actually have benefited from the advice of a caterpillar. Well, it was time for West End audiences to be taken through the looking glass when the musical had its European premiere at the Edinburgh Playhouse, making the start of its first UK tour. The cast starred musical theatre actress and recording artist Carrie Ellis, British stage actress Wendy Peters, British musical theatre actress Natalie McQueen, and leading West End musical theatre actor Dave Willits. In December of 2022, Wonderland would receive its first ever youth premiere by Young Artists of America, a nonprofit 501c committed to creating an equitable and inclusive community where all young performers committed to honing their craft are welcome, regardless of experience, finances, race, gender, or creed. The production was presented at the Music Center at Strathmore, a cultural and artistic venue in North Bethesda, Maryland, featuring over 160 performers with new symphonic orchestrations by Kim Scharnberg. Well, folks, our journey through Wonderland has come to an end, but the magic lives on. Until next time, remember, even the smallest things can lead to the greatest adventures. So keep your eyes wide and your imagination open, because you too may one day drop in as you find yourself on an express elevator to the whimsical world of Wonderland.